Hey guys, one of the things I absolutely love to do is I love to read a book aloud. So, since I've got a little extra time on my hands, I'm going to go ahead and read Joy Pigza Swallowed the Key by Jack Gantis. We'll start on chapter 1 and see how far we get. Chapter 1 Off the Wall. At school, they say I'm wired bad, or wired mad, or wired sad, or wired glad, depending on the mood and what teacher has ended up with me. But there is no doubt about it. I'm wired. This year was no different. When I started out, all the days looked about the same. In the morning, I'd be okay and follow along in class. But after lunch, when my meds had worn down, it was nothing but trouble for me. One day, we were doing math drills in class, and every time Miss Maxie asked a question like, "What's 9 times 9?" I'd raise my hand real quick because I'm good at math. But each time she called me, even though I knew the answer, I just blurted out, "Can I get back to you on that?" And then I nearly fall out of my chair from laughing. And she'd give me that white-lipped look that meant, "Settle down." But I didn't, and I kept raising my hand each time she asked a question until finally no other kid in class would raise their hand because they knew what was coming between me and Miss Maxie. "Okay, Joey," she said, calling on me and staring hard at my face as if her eyes were those long fingers that could grip me by the chin. And I'd stare right back at her and hesitate for a second, as if I was planning to answer the question. And then I'd holler out real loud, "Can I get back to you on that?" Finally, after a bunch of times of me doing that in a row, she jerked her thumb and said, "Out in the hall." And the class cracked up. So I went and I stood in the hallway for about a second till I remember my mini super ball in my pocket had started to bounce it off the lockers and ceilings. And after Miss Debs in the next class stuck her head out the door and yelled, "Hey, cut out the racket!" like she was yelling at a stray cat, I remember something I always wanted to try. I'd seen Tasmanian Devil on TV whirling around like a top, so I unbuckled my belt and I pulled at the end real hard as if to try to start a lawnmower. But that didn't get me spinning very fast. So I took out my high-top shoelaces and tied them together, and then the belt and wrapped it all around my waist. Then I grabbed one end and I yanked it as hard and sort of got myself spinning. I kept doing that until I got better and better, and before long I was bouncing around lockers and I was dizzy too. Then I gave myself one real good pull on the belt because I was already dizzy and I was going fast, and I began to snort and grunt like the Tasmanian Devil until Miss Maxie came out and clamped her hands down on my shoulders. She stopped me so fast I spun right out of my shoes and they went shooting down the hall. "You glue your feet on the floor for 5 whole minutes, or you can just spin yourself down to the principal's office," she said. Now what your choice can be." "Can I get back to you on that?" I asked. Her face turned all red. 5 minutes, she said. "Settle down for 5 minutes and you can rejoin the class." I nodded, and when she was gone, I wrapped the belt and laces around my middle and I gave it a good tug and spun and slammed into the locker. And I got going so good the gum I had under my tongue flew out and my super ball bat slipped out of my hand and went bouncing down the hall, and I kept going and going like when you roll down a steep hill, but before long I was bumping into the glass walls and around the principal's office like a dizzy fish in a tank. Then the principal came out and he pinned me against the wall, and we had a little talk about my behavior goals. And I spent the rest of the day in her office floor sorting out all the used crayons that kindergartners kept in a big plastic tubs until I separated in piles of blue and green and red and yellow, and you know the rest.